Good afternoon, everybody. Good evening, wherever you're tuning in from. It's Rod with Power Group. Welcome back on the Pursuit of Wealth. It's Thursday, July 28th. Going to get started with today's live stream momentarily. And we'll go over Cannara Biotech's Q3 record quarterly revenue and earnings. It's been a while since we covered this stock and did some technical analysis. So I'll do my thoughts and opinions on the stock and the chart and what to expect in the days and weeks ahead. And also I'll do some Q&A at the end, and thought I'd come on, do a live stream, and we could get a community discussion going as well. Before we get to it though, make sure to smash the like, help support me in the channel. It doesn't cost you anything. If you're new, you can subscribe and take the bell to be notified on any future videos. Just sit tight for another 30 seconds or so, and then we'll get started with today's live stream. I see we have quite a few people joining us, so welcome. Thanks for being here. Thanks for joining the live stream. If you could smash the like, helps support me and get the video to as many people as possible. And we'll get started here in about 10 seconds. All right, welcome back on the Pursuit of Wealth, everybody. It's Rod with Power Group. It's Thursday, July 28th. Hope you're well today. And in this short video, going to do a live stream. We'll save some time at the end if anybody has any Q&A or if there's anything you want to share. We can have a discussion at the end as well. If you are tuning in after the fact, let me know what your thoughts and comments are in the comments below. Do you agree with what I've been saying? Is there anything that you disagree with, and why? That's something that's been lacking a lot of the time lately, is when people respond, they comment a lot, but they don't explain why. So I just encourage you to explain your position a little bit more, and let me know, right? If it's fine to disagree as well, we can all still be friends. So I won't be heartbroken if people disagree with me. But I did send out some warning signs about this stock back in November, I think it was. I'll pull up the chart here in a moment. But I made a video saying warning signs. We could see a lot more downside on Cannara. And a lot of people said that the video that I put out was a little excessive, and they didn't really think that we were going to go to 10 cents, but we made it there. And stock was down about 9% today, but I'm getting this video out a little bit later on. It's been a couple days since they reported their Q3 2022 earnings, but it was record quarterly revenue and total revenue of 10.1, gross profit of 3.7 million, and adjusted EBITDA amounted to 1.8 million. So there's lots to be bullish about here in this earnings, and obviously the stock isn't really responding the way most people would want it to. And a lot of people, they get down in the dumps when the share price is low. But again, I did a video a long time ago. It was back 8 months ago. I said major warning signs flashing, and in that video I mentioned that we're likely heading down toward that 10-cent area. And we had a lot of warning signs. We had some technical indicators. We had the rest of the sector as well, confirming monthly downtrends and bear markets. So I gave about an 8 months heads up that we could see a lot more downside. And like I said, a lot of people challenged me on that and said I was a little excessive. Even the thumbnail was a little too excessive. There's no way we're going to hit 10 cents or go below 10 cents, but it always seems impossible until it does, right? And then, like I said, I even did videos. When did I do this? This was 3 weeks ago. I said weekly bear flags everywhere. We had bear flag on High Tide, Trulieve, CGC, Tilray, all of our major names having weekly bear flags. And if we're seeing weakness in bear flags, meaning more downside, we could see another leg down in the tier ones and the tier twos. Well, what makes you think that Cannara Biotech isn't going to fall victim to that as well, right? It's not immune to any market weakness or sector weakness. But we'll jump into some highlights here. I'll go over my thoughts and opinions. Something to keep in mind as well is that price is not indicative of a company's value, right? And right now, MJ stocks, I would argue that Cannara is actually holding up better than most, right? The average Canadian MJ stock is down 80, 90% plus, and the average American MJ stock is down 70 to 80%. So again, it's not uncommon, and fundamentals don't matter in a bear market, right? We know that it's going to take a whole sector catalyst to reverse from here, right? And this is why I'm not really paying too much attention to the earnings results with regards to Cannara. I was paying really tight attention to Tilray's earnings today, because that is something that would move the sector, right? It's the #1 market cap. It's the biggest company. Therefore, and I'm focusing more on the tier ones, right? Because if we're beaten down this much, if we're down 80, 90% across the board in every MJ stock, I'm not going to focus on the tier threes or the small caps, right? I'm going to be focusing on the companies that are in leading market share, like the Tilrays of the world and the CGCs and the Hexos, right? Because they're the leaders in the space. And if everything is trending lower, like I said, I'm not really going to focus too much on each individual name and their financials, only the ones that are really dictating the space, like Tilray. And Tilray didn't even really provide much of a bump for the smaller caps, right? And I believe that Cannara will reverse when the sector reverses, but they also have a ton of growth, right? I'll go through this, but they have so much growth ahead of them, right? They're just starting to get into vapes. They just launched the tribal vapes. And what do we know about Quebec, where they are headquartered? There's not even vapes allowed in that market yet. They're just started allowing edibles, and vapes aren't even in their hometown of Quebec yet. So there's so much growth. They still have nationwide to expand to, right? They're still not fully, they still don't have full distribution in Canada yet. And then if the US legalizes, right, they got a ton of time to kind of prep for the US. And we know that I did an interview with Nick, the Sosiak, the CFO, and he talks about how they're going to be focusing on the U.S. as well. But again, we'll see them build out Canada first. And Valleyfield has still, it only has 6 of its 24 growing zones. So there's so much potential here, so much growth. I see tons of people complaining about, they're offering, warrants, I think, I forget what the warrants were. We'll go through it here, but somebody was saying that they had warrants. Again, I'm not really paying too much attention. If they issued it lower than the stock price, I'm not too worried, higher than the current stock price. I'm not too worried because it's just the lay of the land right now, right? The whole sector's in the dumps and every MJ stock and price is down, and it's not going to matter when Cannara gets back up to 20 cents or 50 cents or even $1 in the future, right? I think that this is a stock that could easily get to $1, not financial advice. This is for entertainment purposes only. But moving through this real quick here, Cannara Biotech Inc. reports first fiscal third quarter 2022 financial results. Company recorded a record high of $10.1 million in quarterly revenue and $24.1 million in year-to-date revenue, delivering its 5th consecutive quarter Q3 2022 adjusted EBITDA of $1.8 million and a net income of $1.4 million. So these are great numbers, right? And a lot of people are scratching their head. Let me know what you think of this report, but I know a lot of people are stuck there kind of scratching their heads wondering why the stock isn't moving and it's actually going down when the fundamentals are great and the numbers are great. It's because that fundamentals don't matter in a bear market and the whole sector's still in the dumps. We need something like safe banking that's going to lift us out of this rut that we're in. But Valleyfield's facility continues to scale. Like, look at the growth, guys. We don't even have vapes in Quebec yet, and they just launched vapes. And the company now has 6 of its 24 growing zones. That's so much growth still to be had, right? Like, we're probably going to see massive growth and just exponential growth in its revenue growth, right? Especially over the next 2 to 3 to 4 quarters, right? And I think we're going to get a full accurate representation of what this beast can do here in about a year from now. A year from today, I think we're going to see the potential for all of those zones to be potentially growing up, to be fully expanded and operationalized, and that's something that maybe I'll have to follow up with Nick and the people at Cannara. If you're listening to this video as well, Nick, hit me up. Perhaps we can do another interview. I did one quite a while ago, and I'd love to have you back on the channel again. I know everybody else would probably appreciate that as well. But that represents 150,000 square feet of canopy holding 55,000 plants that can be harvested 4 times per year. And this is all in Canadian dollars. So a vertically integrated producer of premium grade MJ and derivative products with 2 mega facilities based in Quebec spanning 1.65 million square feet. Today it's announced its results. So again, 1.65 million square feet. And these zones are only representing 150,000 square feet, right? So there's tons of room just to expand in Canada alone. But these are some operational and financial highlights for the quarter. Quarterly revenue, already mentioned that, 10.1, about a 36% increase from the prior quarter and a 41% increase compared to Q3 of last year. Recorded gross profit and fair value adjustments of $3.7 million, a 42% increase from the prior quarter, and an increase of 7% compared to Q3 of last year. So it goes on to talk about EBITDA, already discussed that. 5th straight quarter of positive EBITDA, earned net income $1.4 million. Closed non-dilutive $50 million credit facility led by BMO Commercial Banking. Credit facility includes a 3-year term loan at $39.3 million with the and that's going to be used to help ramp up Valley Field, right? In addition, for up to an additional $10 million, a $5 million line of credit and $5.7 million of the issuance of letter of credit. Funding was received subsequent to quarter end, successfully redesigned and activated 5 of 24 grow zones, and had produced 4 harvests from the new Valleyfield facility as of May 31st, 2022. Recorded its first revenue for MJ cultivation from its Valleyfield facility, introduced 2 new genetics, the tribal brand Nugs brand, and 1 genetic under Nugs brand in the Quebec market. And again, still no vapes in Quebec. That's going to be huge. Launched Nugs Fresh frozen hash and rosin in 1 gram format in Ontario market. Sold approximately 2,040 kgs of MJ and 564,000 units across 3 flagship brands during the quarter, so Orchid, Tribal, Nugs. The quarter as a result of the increase in the production of the Valleyfield facility, a 60% increase in kg sold the previous quarter. So again, just think they only got a few zones, 6 zones? 6 of the 24, right? So man, there's so much growth to be had. Just not even just from a Cannara perspective, but an MJ sector perspective, then a Cannara perspective, just in Canada and then in the US. So we can all get down in the dumps with the price, but I got news for you. Everything's down in MJ, and there's a lot of positive aspects of that we can take away from this. And this is a great long-term hold, in my opinion, not financial advice. This is for entertainment purposes only. Invested $4.9 million in capital expenditures during the quarter and over $12 million during the 9-month period ended May 31st, 2021. The bulk of the capital expenditures related to the finalization and construction of the Valleyfield facility. The company has $13 million in working capital as of May 31st, 2022, granted an aggregate total of 600,000 stock options to employees and 613,333 stock options to consultants at an exercise price of 18. So there you go. I know a lot of people weren't happy about that, but it is what it is. And like I said, it's not really going to matter when the price is back up to 20 cents or even 30 cents, right? Actually, 18 cents is very strong resistance, which we'll be looking at here on the chart here in a moment. But I'm going to skip through this. I'm sure everybody has already read this anyway, so I don't want to take up all of your time here going over the article that you probably already read. But I just wanted to point out some of what I was thinking when I was going through it. And there's so much growth still to be had, right? I guess we got Nico on the stream, so there you go. That answers that question. How you doing? Nico Dank tuning in. Sure, my pleasure. Reach out. Will do. Thank you very much. I'll shoot you up. I'll hit you up. Drop you a line here in the next day or two. Just got my new condo today. I just did a video. It's closing day today. I got my keys to my new condo. I'm turning it into an Airbnb, so I'll be busy, but we should be able to fit something in if it permits your schedule and mine. But I should be able to hopefully over the next week or two if that works for you. But I'll drop you a line. But in terms of analyst estimates, we don't have any analysts really covering the stock, so we don't have any estimates to really go by. So again, that just goes to show that when the whole sector's down, it's going to be hard for this stock to move all on its own. We need the whole sector to reverse. And like I said, I did a video 8 months ago saying major warning signs for the stock. Again, this wasn't what I wanted for the stock. I wish it was going to $1 yesterday, but all the signs were pointing to more downside, and the whole sector was starting to confirm monthly downtrends. And this was back in November. So if we go back here to November, I gave the heads up when we were at around 13 cents. We even bounced to about 14.5 cents. And I said, watch for a potential drop down to about 10 cents, right? And I think we had a death cross as well. Yep, we had the death cross in November, and that's what I was signaling as a major warning sign. And we had everybody else in the MJ sector confirming those death crosses as well. Death cross just means you have these moving averages. So the 50-day moving average or the 200-day moving average, you take the 200 days, the last 200 days that the stock traded, and you add them all up, and then you divide it, right? And then that gives you the 200-day moving average. So like I said, CGC had one as well. All of MJ had it. If you take a look at Tilray had it as well. And that just gave me confidence to issue that warning in a video because, again, don't hate me. I'm just the messenger. I'm just telling you what the charts were saying, right? And like I said, if it were up to me, I'd have this stock at $5, yesterday. But unfortunately, that's just not how markets work. So we had this death cross that occurred, and I issued that warning. And when that death cross occurred, it was around 13 cents. Keep in mind, we're only down 3 cents, but 3 cents when the stock's at 13 cents makes a big difference, right? So that would have saved from that call out. That would have saved about 30% of downside, 25% of downside. We're also starting to form a bit of a ascending triangle here. You can see here we have the low, high, higher, low, and then we have this neckline. And if you ignore those wicks there, the level to get above is going to be 18 cents. That is the level of resistance. But generally, this pattern, and it's going to take a little bit more time to play out. But generally, these are showing it's bear exhaustion and just overall strength from the bulls, right? Because we're trending higher with higher lows and higher highs, but we have a horizontal line of resistance. And you can see here it's an ascending type of support trend line, right? And then that we usually consider that a type of ascending triangle and a bullish continuation pattern. And if we just take a look at the measured move here, and I'm on log scale at the moment, so I think I'll take it off log scale. Probably makes more sense to have it on linear. But if we just go here, take the measured move, we could potentially see if this does play out, which I think it could, because we could see safe banking and the rest of the MJ sector, Tilray earnings today ended up closing the day near the high of the day, up 12%. So I know a lot of other names weren't really resulting in some bullish reactions as well. But again, you just got to be patient, right? Usually when the tier ones are that beaten down, when we're this beaten down in the whole sector, usually the tier ones run, and then we start to see that trickle down to the smaller caps. So just be patient. I think it's going to be pretty soon. We'll see love follow suit as well. But if we do see this ascending triangle measured move play out, we could be targeting 28 cents. So again, all of those, you get a ton of people complaining about these stock options and things like that. And, it's not going to matter when the price is back up to 20 cents and beyond, right? And everybody's always a critic. Everybody can always complain about something. But at the end of the day, it's just the market conditions, right? The MJ sector has been in a brutal bear market for the last 18 months. And, love doesn't have any immunity to that, right? Cannara is just falling victim to the rest of the sector bleeding out, right? But if we do potentially see this target, I know a lot of people are going to be happy when that day comes, myself included. But if we zoom in here on the weekly time frame, we're still in a weekly downtrend. And you can see here, ever since we lost EMA 12, we couldn't get above it, couldn't get above it. Then we lost it. We had a bear cross where the yellow line came down through the red. That's just the shorter term time frame crossing down through the longer term. That's called a bear cross. And then we confirmed a weekly downtrend here. So realistically, on this day, on September 7th, on the week of that, on September 7th week, we confirmed a weekly downtrend. So if you just exited there when we confirmed the weekly downtrend, that would have saved you about 40% of downside. So lower high and lower low, weekly downtrend confirmed, another lower high and lower low, another lower high and lower low. We almost changed the trend here, but we didn't form a clear higher low and higher high. It ended up being a bull trap, and then straight down to a weekly lower low. And what do we know that we need to see in MJ? We need weekly and monthly uptrends to confirm that the bottom is in and that we're starting a new bull market. And like I said, haven't been able to close above. We did it here once, and it ended up being a bull trap. So if we can close a weekly, if you're wondering when's a good time to enter, maybe, again, not financial advice, this is for entertainment purposes only, but maybe you want to enter if we close a weekly candle above that EMA 12, right, which would be over 11 cents. And also taking a look at the 10-week moving average, we have that there at 10.6 as well, which lines up pretty much exactly with EMA 12. And we haven't been able, again, we did it that one time where we had that bit of a fake out and bull trap. But again, look at all those upper wicks. And we did have we're back into bearish territory here on the stochastic. MACD doesn't really know what it wants to do, pretty choppy as well, but could see a bull cross here pretty soon. But a weekly candle close over 11 cents, you could see some massive upside here. But again, we need the whole sector to reverse, in my opinion. Case in point, they had great earnings and great fundamentals, right? But we're not seeing that reflected in the share price because the whole sector is still in the dumps. Also, one thing I want to highlight here is we do have the 50 weekly and the 100 weekly bear cross. Not looking good, and we haven't really seen that much downside since these moving averages crossed. So it's entirely possible that we head back down to the 7.5 cent range, because we do have some pretty strong support there. 7.5 cents will be what we'll be watching next if we do lose 10 cents. And then after that, down at 7 cents. So like I said, we could see a lot more downside from here. After that, it's 5 cent support. So I'll be watching, if we lose 10 cents, I'll be watching 7.5. I think that would be strong resistance. Personally, I don't think it'll go much lower than that, just based on how beaten down we are in the sector. But like I said, we had a death cross back in November. That's whenever I put this warning sign out, this video with all the warning signs 8 months ago. It was in November, just shortly after that death cross, and all MJ had it as well, right? So again, I wish I could do it. I wish the stock would go up just as much as anybody else, but we got to be realistic as well, right? We can't just be to the moon, bull blinders on, 24/7, right? We need to be realistic. If you learn how to read charts and things like that, again, one indicator isn't enough, right? Just the fact that we're having a death cross, some people would say, oh, technical analysis doesn't matter. It's like, well, one indicator doesn't matter, or this one pattern, or this one, particular metric that you're using doesn't matter. But when every single MJ stock, both American and Canadian and retailers and ETS, when they're all confirming death crosses, and we know that the broader market was likely due for a pretty big pullback, and then tech stocks like Netflix and Shopify all down 80% in 6 months, well, of course, we're not going to be immune to market weakness, right? And that's why I was so confident in saying, because of the amount of confluence and because of the amount of weakness that we saw in the broader market and among the sector, right? So, going to end it there. We'll jump into the chat here as well. But yeah, thanks Nick for joining the stream, and I'll shoot you a message. Larry says, what piece? Not sure what you mean by that. What piece? Congrats on your realty closing. Thank you very much, Larry. I appreciate it. Thanks for joining the stream, and thanks for the support. It really means a lot. Yeah, I'm going to turn it into an Airbnb, and if anybody's just joining late, I just got the keys to my new condo, my fourth investment property. I'm only 32, so pretty good day for me, and nice milestone in my career. And that's kind of how I got into finance. Really was started off by real estate. My parents have been really heavily involved in the real estate market, and right now Edmonton's condo market is insanely undervalued. So if you're looking for some decent investment opportunities and investment property, things like that, consider checking out the Edmonton condo market. But thank you very much. I appreciate that. Jam Losi, hello, just tuning in. Well, you made it. Better late than never. I see we have about a dozen people still on with us. And like I said, we're going to we might see a little bit more downside in the MJ space. We just got to have realistic expectations. And to be honest, I've learned to tolerate and actually enjoy bear markets, because you can't get to the life-changing wealth, right? You can't get to those 100x or 50x or 100x opportunities without having these crazy, insanely low valuations, right? Like I said, when I put this video out, this warning sign in November, that major warning sign, I got a lot of flack from that, right? A lot of people told me I was crazy. Again, it wasn't that I wanted the stock to go to 10 cents. It was just the most likely scenario. And it's going to take a whole sector-wide reversal, right? We're going to need something like safe banking. I think safe banking has a very good chance of passing before the midterms, around the midterms. We know that the August recess is coming up here soon. And we could see some movement, right? We could see descheduling. I think we're going to see safe banking uplisting to NYSE and the NASDAQ. And that's another thing, right? What happens if Cannara just uplists to the NASDAQ or the NYSE, right? Can you imagine the amount of hype and the amount of upside that would have just leading into that alone, right? And not just Cannara. We're going to see a ton of USMJ being able to uplist right now, right? USMJ can't trade on the NYSE or the NASDAQ. Cannara, in theory, could uplist because they don't have any operations in the US. But again, we don't need U.S. legalization either for Cannara to upgrade to the NYSE or the NASDAQ, right? So it could be, like Tilray said on the call today, Erwin Simon said it could be he's thinking 4 or 5 years before full-blown federal legalization in the U.S. Well, that's good for Cannara, because that gives them time to get nationwide distribution and get their footprint all over Canada. Right now, they're, I think, what is it? Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Quebec, and Ontario. So if they can get into important markets like BC and Alberta, there's so much growth just from a Canadian perspective. And then think about it, even if it takes 4 or 5 years for us to see U.S. legalization, well, at this rate, Cannara could be uplisting to the NYSE or the NASDAQ at some point in the next maybe year or two. I wouldn't think it would take any more than that, basically. I would say 2 years max. But realistically, I think it could happen in a year. It's really going to depend on obviously they have the minimum bid price rule, things like that. We could see a potential reverse split as well in order to gain compliance with that minimum bid price rule. That's something that we could look out for as well. But it's looking pretty good at the moment, and we're holding some key levels of support. And like I said, if we just think about it from a sector-wide perspective, everything is down, right? If we take a look at Tilray, the leader in the space, How much is it down since the highs of February 2021? We're down over 95%. Okay. So now for comparison's sake, how much is love down from that same high? So in February 2021, September. Okay, this is on the TSX. Let's just bring it up here on the Neo Exchange. So if we go to the high of, where is it? February 2020, January, here it is. So we're only down 40%, right? Like, I think we better count our blessings, right? For those that are in Cannara, it's actually holding up a lot better than most, right? And then the 52-week high there, we're only down from the 52-week high 45%. And then, you know, if we were to, let's say we dropped similar to Tilray, and we were down 95%, we'd basically be down to, you know, 2 pennies. 1 penny, 2 pennies. You know, could happen. Not saying that it's the bottom. I'm not calling it a bottom. We're in a monthly downtrend as well with the high, low, lower high, and lower low. And we have next monthly support there at 8 cents. So 8 cents, 7.5 cents, like I said, is going to be an area to be watching. After that, we're looking at 7 cents and then 5 cents. But I really don't see it dropping below 7 cents, to be completely honest with you. When MJ explodes, we will be rich. Well, and that's why I always encourage diversification, right? Owning some Canadian MJ stocks, some American operators, some retailers, some ETFs. And I know a lot of people that are invested in Love and Cannara, or, you know, Tilray. A lot of people only invest in Tilray, only invest in Hexo, only invest in Cannara. I see a ton of people as well that say Cannara is the only stock worth owning. Well, I love Cannara Biotech. It's a great company. I love their products. I love their management. I love their vision. I love their passion. It's probably my favorite small cap in Canada. Well, probably my favorite small cap in general in the whole MJ space. But yeah, you know, it's just par for the course, right? And we're going to see, absolutely, if you're diversified, Love is high risk. But it's also going to provide high reward, right? Like if we go to $1 from here, I think this stock could easily be worth $1 at some point. That's 10x from here, right? And then if we go to, you know, think about it, what happens if we go to $5, right? If we go to $1, like I said, that's 10x. If we go to $1.50, that's about 14x, right? 15x. But yeah, like I said, you can't have the bull markets without bear markets. You can't have good without evil. You can't have hot without cold. You need both, right? And again, how do you expect to get to the life-changing opportunity and the life-changing gains without having these insanely low valuations and these crazy low stock prices, right? It's just opportunity. Why most people are jumping ship and and selling here, you know, I'm just counting it as being, you know, as more time to accumulate, right? And Love is probably, I don't know how much percent of my portfolio right now, probably close to 5% of my MJ portfolio. But yeah, I own a mix of picks and shovels, ETS, retailers, and yeah, it's easy to get. I see a lot of emotional people, you know, in the Cannara Biotech groups and things like that. But you just have to remember that price is not indicative of a company's value, right? And things get extended to the downside and they get extended to the upside. I know that we're just going to see something similar. We'll get extended to the upside eventually, and we'll be at 20 cents, 30 cents and beyond. And then people won't want to sell, right? People will say, oh, we're never going back down. And it'll just be the same on the way up, right? Now, the same here, right? We're never going to reverse. We're never going to reverse. And then we reverse. And then on the way up, oh, we're never going to go back down. We're going to go. And then we go back down. And then they didn't take profits, right? It's just a never ending cycle. So it's all about a game of support and resistance. As long as you're buying near support, you don't have to time the absolute bottom. As long as you're buying near the bottom and you have realistic expectations, that's another very important aspect, right? Having a plan before you even buy, right? Someone in POW Group mentioned today, I purchased in my family member's account, I purchased some MJ stocks, and I'm jealous of their averages. Well, they had a plan before they entered, not selling until U.S. legalization, and not investing any more than they're willing to lose, right? And having realistic expectations. I think we live in that instant gratification world where people want to be rich tomorrow, and they want to be rich in a week or 2 months. Most people can't look 5 days out, let alone, 5 months or 5 years, right? So, yeah, I've got Love in a long-term no-touch account, and I've also got Cannara in a shorter-term account. So I've got it in my TFSA, long-term, not selling it for many, many years. And then I've got it in a short-term account as well, where I'll ride the highs. I'll sell when we get extended the upside, and then I'll look to re-enter when, just get my cost basis down. That's all I'm looking to do. My average right now on Cannara, I think, is 14 cents. But I won't be adding again unless we get down to that 8-cent area, which is monthly support. And then, like I said, we had a lot of support around that area. After that, 7 cents and then 5 cents. But it's hard to imagine us dropping below 7 cents, to be honest with you. Can you please elaborate on why you think SAFE Act would pass when they currently are nowhere from getting the 60 votes needed? So SAFE is different than you're talking about the MORE Act and the CAOA. So the MJ administration and opportunity. So you're confusing two different things. So safe banking has nothing to do with that. They're talking about actually expunging records and descheduling it from the list of Schedule 1 drugs, right? So it's up there. MJ right now in the U.S. is in the same category as heroin. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to get that descheduling done. And that's what they need to do, right? But safe banking was added as part of the defense bill as an amendment, and they could easily pass safe banking as well. We know that there's the MORE Act, which has been passed by the House several times. And then, there's the possibility for actual descheduling. So I think SAFE's going to come first, and then we'll get descheduling. Then we'll get full-blown federal legalization. But good question. I think SAFE could happen pretty soon. They're using the narrative of it's dangerous because it's an all-cash business and people are getting robbed and things like that. It's just not safe. I mean, wouldn't take a genius to figure that out. I could have told you that. Pretty sure a 4-year-old could tell you that's probably not a good idea. But, I mean, that's just the way we are. That's just the lay of the land at the moment. But, again, there's just so much growth to be had, right? You can't even purchase MJ in the U.S. with a credit card, right? They're essentially operating as a full cash business. Hey, Rod, can I ask you about this stock that I've been trying to read the charts, but I suck at it? It's non-MJ stock. We'll try to save it for another video. I want to keep this video as short as possible because when they go longer, people tend to tune out and not watch it because I understand if you don't have an hour or what have you, right? And I put out a few other videos today as well, and I want to keep this one centered directly around Love and MJ, but I'll probably do another live stream tomorrow. So if you want to join tomorrow, let me know. And if you want to just comment on the video after the fact, if you miss it, let me know, and I'll look into it for you. Pass at the House or the Senate you're referring to? Yeah, so it's the Senate that. The MORE Act has passed the House several times. It hasn't even made its way to the Senate yet. But the CAOA, which is Schumer's bill, right, and Cory Booker. There's also, Nancy Mace, I think, at North Carolina, a Republican who has a bill as well. So there's multiple bills right now with regards to federal legalization, and it's kind of bipartisan, right? We have the Democrats, we have the Republicans, and we know that even Amazon and Apple are backing the Republican-led bill, right? So this is different this time, right? We have Amazon and Apple, we have Switzerland. That was just mentioned today as well, that Switzerland becoming online. That's... The Senate is going to be where it struggles, though, this CAOA. Cool, thanks. I'll comment in it after. Okay, perfect. All right, well, like I said, I know, there's not a whole lot of activity in the space right now. And like I said, I'm not one of those YouTubers that come on here and only cover a stock whenever it's sunshine and rainbows and prices up 10%. Love's finished the day down about 9%. But again, I'm here through the thick and the thin, and I'm here in the worst of times. I'm here in the best times. I'm not going anywhere, right? But I'm here as that voice of reason. I'm here as that reassurance that MJ isn't going anywhere, and now is the time to be paying attention, right? This is what separates the men from the boys and the girls from the women, and this is where champions are made, right? So, are you going to be taking advantage of these life-changing opportunities in the MJ space? or are you just going to let it pass you by, right? Leading into the biggest catalyst of our lifetime, which is U.S. federal legalization and full-blown global legalization, right? It's just a matter of time. Thanks. You're welcome. All right. Thanks everybody for joining the live stream. It's been a blast as always. And if there is anybody tuning in after the fact, let me know about if you have any other questions, if you agree with me, disagree with me. I always love hearing from you. We'll continue the conversation in the comments below. Thanks again for joining us in the Pursuit of Wealth. It's Rod with Powell Group, and have a great night, and we'll see you again tomorrow.